After 4 months of violent protests resulting in the deaths of more than 120 people and hundreds of thousands of anti-government demonstrators taking their anger at President Nicolas Maduro onto the streets, the country is nearing a showdown. If Venezuela's freedom is worth death, we're willing to give our lives for our country. If they want war, that's what they'll have. A growing list of foreign nations has refused to recognize the new assembly.
Here are people standing for civic rebellion. And today we finally have the whole world saying that there's a dictatorship in Venezuela that has to go. We've achieved what we've been fighting for years, division within the Chavez supporters.
Venezuelan prosecutors have asked a court to suspend Friday's inauguration of the new Constituent Assembly over claims of electoral fraud.
Si la oposición se sienta con el Consejo Nacional Electoral.
If the opposition and the CNE have a meeting and they settle all the steps that were missed in the Assembly's fraudulent election, then the governors the people chose will win.
En medio de las diversas denuncias hechas en contra del Consejo
Our correspondent Eduardo Salazar Uribe is in Caracas. He says the first meeting of the 545 delegates is expected to convene on Friday at the Legislative Palace, just meters from where the opposition-controlled National Assembly sits. Anti-government leaders are calling on Venezuelans to protest on Friday as the new Constituent Assembly members take office.
Eduardo Salazar Uribe para Euronews.
A fire ripped through one of the world's tallest residential towers in Dubai early on Friday. It's the second blaze to sweep through the skyscraper, which happens to be called the Torch Tower, in just 2 years. No injuries were reported. Residents, many of them expats, were evacuated in the middle of the night, and the fire was brought under control by dawn. There was no immediate word on the cause of the blaze, but the incident could revive questions about the safety of materials used on the exteriors of tall buildings across the world. 2 years ago, the building's cladding, similar to the one used in Grenfell Tower in London, was blamed for fueling the flames.
There are signs the special investigator examining alleged Russian meddling in the US election is stepping up his inquiry. Reports say Robert Mueller has begun using a grand jury, which has issued subpoenas relating to a meeting between President Trump's son, his son-in-law, and a Russian lawyer. Grand juries are members of the public who hear evidence in secret and can force witnesses to appear or hand over documentation. Some experts say it's a major development.
If I were in the White House, I would be concerned that the investigation has gone up another notch, or appears to have gone up another notch. In short order, probably people who are in the administration or former members of the administration or former members of the campaign will be getting subpoenas to testify and to provide documents.
Donald Trump's lawyers insist he's not under investigation, and at a rally in West Virginia, the president was typically defiant.
The Russia story is a total fabrication. It's just an excuse for the greatest loss in the history of American politics. That's all it is.
Donald Trump has questioned Mueller's impartiality. Democratic and Republican senators have initiated legislation seeking to block the president from firing the investigator. One of Trump's lawyers has denied he's planning to do so.
US President Donald Trump pressured Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto to stop publicly saying he would not pay for a proposed border wall. "You can't say that to the press," he reportedly told him. He also argued with Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull over refugees, according to transcripts of phone calls published in the Washington Post. He told Turnbull it was the worst conversation he'd had that day, and one with Russian President Vladimir Putin was more pleasant. These phone calls give an insight into Trump's attempts to influence foreign leaders in his first days in office.
Trump always speaks with an arrogant tone, with such rudeness, and this is what Peña Nieto has not been able to deal with. He's not been able to respond to it or to demand President Trump stop his insolence.
Al presidente Trump de frenar su insolencia.
On Wednesday, the US president announced new legislation to overhaul the US immigration system, favoring financially stable English speakers and implementing a merit-based visa scheme.
men have been charged in Australia over a plot to place a homemade bomb on an Etihad Airways flight. Police say the explosives were flown in from Turkey. The device was disguised as a commercial meat mincer and taken to a check-in counter at Sydney Airport last month.
An aborted attempt to place an IED on an Etihad flight out of Sydney on the 15th of July this year. At no stage did the IED breach airline security.
The two men were arrested in raids across Sydney last week. They now face counts of planning a terror attack. Police say they had orders from the Islamic State militant group and had also tried to build a separate device designed to release poisonous gas in a public area.
A British-based cybersecurity researcher praised for helping to stop a global attack earlier this year has been arrested and charged in the United States over an unrelated hacking case. Marcus Hutchins was detained in Las Vegas and has been accused of involvement with malware known as Kronos, which stole online banking details and credit card data in 2014 and 2015. The 23-year-old was greeted as a hero for apparently helping to stop the WannaCry attack, which infected computers, causing widespread disruption, including in the UK's health service, in over 150 countries. The charges filed in Wisconsin allege he created and sold Kronos on internet forums. Other researchers have reacted with surprise and skepticism.
Barcelona attracts millions of holidaymakers each year for its sun-soaked beachfront and bustling nightlife. But some locals are growing fed up with tourists. In late July, a group of masked men targeted an open-top tour bus, slashing its tires and scrawling graffiti onto its sides. The message in Catalan read, "Tourism kills neighborhoods." The action was claimed by a group of radical leftists whose actions appear to be gaining momentum across Spain. Here in Mallorca, youths stormed a restaurant on the marina, armed with red flares and confetti. The restaurant manager says several customers were having dinner. A group of people came with banners. We thought it was a small demonstration. They threw colored smoke bombs into the restaurant. And several girls wearing masks attacked the customers. Aran, the radical movement behind the attacks, has been vocal about the impact the mass travel industry is having on locals' quality of life.
We want to denounce the destruction of the territory and the exploitation of the working class by the hotel industry. In no case was the action violent. Banners were displayed, confetti was thrown, and we've planned a series of actions throughout the summer.
As in Barcelona, many in Mallorca seem to have become allergic to tourists, even as the island lives off the industry.
Italy has dispatched a naval patrol boat to Libya in order to help the country's coast guard curb the flow of migrants. The Italian Parliament gave the go-ahead for a naval mission, saying it had been requested by Libya's UN-backed government. But the move triggered angry statements from factions in eastern Libya that oppose the Tripoli-based government. The Libyan House of Representatives warns against the Italian state's attempt to export the illegal immigration crisis from its territory to Libya's. The return of tens of thousands of migrants will have a dangerous impact on Libya's security, economy and society. The Parliament also criticised Prime Minister Fayez Sarraj for striking the deal with the Italians. Sarraj's government has denied that, although Italian Premier Paolo Gentiloni says they requested help from Italy's navy. The Parliament in Tobruk says having a foreign navy's vessels patrolling Libyan waters would be a violation to the sovereignty of Libya. After a surge in migrant arrivals from Libya at the start of the year, the numbers of newcomers to Italy has slowed. However, rights groups have warned that those sent back to Libya face abuse at the hands of traffickers.
Momento agora para o espaço comercial e ora nós está back e repórter com nosso colega Carl Reuter.
programa com mais de uma década de informação